Zoe Sullivan has come out with yet another long-winded rant. I hope you're all ready for this. Yesterday I covered her rant on TikTok about Tattle, right? She's not happy with Tattle. She's happy, in actual fact, with the fact that Tattle's been outed, the owner has been outed, and she thinks it's going to be an avalanche now of people being outed on Tattle. So if you are on that site, you need to watch your back because Zoe is on the case, right? Anyway, but she also put a rant on one of her videos separately, right? A separate rant about haters and trolls and all things loveliness. So we're going to look at that today and see what she has to say and maybe make one or two comments about it, because one or two things I was not best pleased. I was not happy with it because I just hate ignorance, and I just find that she sees one thing, and because it affects her, that is it. For everything else in the world, she doesn't see anybody else's point of view, and it frustrates the hell out of me.
Anyway, I haven't actually been on here much this week, because, to be perfectly honest, I've been struggling a bit with the whole social media thing. I put a TikTok on the other day about how wild social media is at the moment, and how, actually not just social media, life as well, people in real life, how awful and vile people have been.
It really, really grates on me, you know, with this whole thing with Tattle now and the possibility of landmark precedents being set. It's just, it kind of brings up the what is worse scenarios, right? And I might talk about this separately in another video, but it brings up, should you get away with something because something else happens? Like Zoe is saying, we get hated on, we hate we hate getting hated on. There's people are vile these days, not just online but offline as well. People are being vile, and they're vile for a reason towards you, right? Well, some people aren't. Okay, I'm just gonna be diplomatic about this. Some people aren't. Some people target you for reasons that are fair, I would say, right? I think people get very protective when it comes to kids in particular, and when you are perceived as being horrible to your children, then people will talk back, people will say something, right? And that's the harsh reality of life, right? If you're being horrible to your kids, people will step up and say, oh, that's enough. And the problem here lies with you not believing that you are being horrible to your children. Now, again, I said this yesterday. Are the kids being fed? Yes. Are they being fed the most nutritious food in the world? Maybe not. But then again, for a large part, I grew up on frozen food, right? You know, for a while. So, you know, it is what it is. Not necessarily the most nutritious food, but it's food, and if they don't eat, then it would be neglect. There's things like embarrassing the kids online. Now, that's a big thing. That's not a nice thing for you to do. You know that, Zoe, don't you? Embarrassing your children to the point where they need to be taken out of school. That's a bad thing, and that could be classed as being horrible to your kids, for example. You know, I mean, almost every single one of your children have been taken out of school now. That can't be a coincidence, can it? No. Then there's the whole vlogging your children for money and to pay your bills. That, to most people, is a horrible thing, right? Me included. I think that's a horrible thing for you to do to your children. However, you don't see it as being horrible. You see it as we're just filming our lives, deal with it, that sort of scenario. But on the other hand, I see it's been horrible, and I think that is worse than you being harassed and bullied, right? I'm not saying that you should be bullied, by the way. I'm just saying that, where do you draw the line? What is worse? Do you get away with being horrible to your children because you're being bullied online? Do people get away with bullying you online because you are horrible to your kids? Which is worse, or are they equally as bad? Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are.
And it's not just me. Obviously responses to that have been across, it's sad, but people have said, you know, how they have found it too, not just on social media, but across the board. People are voicing things a lot more that maybe they wouldn't have done. Everything just seems to be a bit, as somebody put it, a bit wonky.
It is a bit wonky. In what way? I don't know. I think the problem is societal evolution, I think, is probably the issue here. Because you'll see that so many things in life are talked about excessively now that were never talked about like 20 years ago. And it's, people understand their rights a bit more. They want the right of freedom of speech, so they express their freedom of speech. You can't stop them. People will raise awareness for certain situations that they didn't 20 years ago, because they now know these situations are bad. For example, when family vlogging first became a thing back in the early 2010s, it became normalized. People thought it was good. It was exciting to see the insight of a family life, real life, you know, and it was good, and people wanted that. But now we've evolved a little bit, right? We understand now the damages that can cause to a child to be filmed every day, have all their personal private information splashed all over the internet, where they live is revealed on the internet, their images revealed to predators on the internet. You know, people understand that these things are wrong. And that is why it's talked about a lot more. So not just that, but everything that you're talking about there, everybody knows more than they did 20 years ago. Right? So they do more. Yes, some people take it to extremes, but in general, it's evolution. People are doing more now because they can do more. There's social media. Like 20, 30 years ago, there was no social media. People didn't have the voice that they have now to talk about these things. Whereas before, you know, well, now they do. They can talk to the heart's content now, you know.
At the moment. I know we've come on before and we've talked about things, trolls and everything else, and I don't want to keep coming on and talking about it because, number one, I don't want to give them airtime, and number two, I just don't want to. You know, we try and be positive, we try and be happy, all of those things. I'll try and promote the positivity, but it's been really hard, really, really hard. Lately, I've found it really, really hard. And when I find things difficult like that, I have to take a step back. It's the only way that I can deal with things. I can't formulate properly because I think one of the problems that I have, I try and understand where these people are coming from when they write these things. I try and understand how people can be so awful.
You've never tried to understand, Zoe. You've never tried to understand our point of view. My stance is absolutely zero tolerance to filming your children for profit, right? For a variety of reasons. Now, you can look at why those reasons are. If you go back on my videos, you'll know, you'll see, you'll understand. But you don't ever address that. You don't say, yes, actually, no, we don't exploit our kids. And no, our kids' images are not on the dark web right now. I'm not quite sure how you would know if that was the case, but I assume you'll have looked into that, because as a responsible parent, you might want to just check that one out.
And because I try and understand that, it kind of sends me into a bit of a spiral, because I just don't understand. I don't understand why people can be so horrible.
It's because you're not listening, Zoe. You're not listening at all. Oh my God. The reason you're going into some sort of spiral because you can't understand why people are being so horrible to you is because you're not listening to them, right? Don't just assume that people are being horrible to be horrible, right? Look at the reason why they're being horrible. The vast majority of people are not just being horrible to you for the sake of horribleness, right? They're not. So look at the reasons why. Yes, some people are not going to like you. Not everybody can like you. It's just the way of the world, right? In real life, people are not going to like you. If you had a real job, not everybody would like you in that job. Same with Ben. Not everybody liked him at his job. But you just have to get on with it. That's the way of the world. However, you're not listening why people are not liking you. What are you doing that's causing them? I'm not victim blaming here, right? Usually I would say, yeah, if somebody doesn't like you, it's not your fault. It's just the way it is. Forget about it. But in this instance, there is a reason why they are targeting you. What are you doing specifically which is upsetting people? Then you will understand the reason why. It's not just a hate for hate thing. Yes, some people don't like you for whatever reason. But there's a lot of people that don't like you for the things that you do, specifically towards your children.
I just don't understand. I don't understand where it comes from. And I get that social media has almost become like, people say it's just their opinion, but somewhere people can take their frustrations and their anger and their hate out on other people, but they don't always see those people, those creators, as being real people almost. In fact, I saw something that somebody else, another big creator, put on the other day, and they had this comment put on there, and the person actually said, the person that left this comment, actually, they were challenged on it, and then they actually said, well, I didn't think they'd read my comment. It was just, what did they say? It was just, I was just speaking my mind. I didn't think they'd actually read it. And I think that happens quite a lot. I think people now, this access that we have to everything, this 24/7 access we have to everything, I think somewhere along the lines, people have forgotten how to be nice to each other.
The other thing is, I don't think that this is a new problem either. Since the dawn of time, there have been celebrities, right? Now, I'm not saying Zoe is a celebrity, but YouTubers are the new age celebrity amongst kids and young people especially, right? So YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagrammers, all that lot, these are celebrities to them. And when back in the day, we had celebrities too, right? Only they were confined to magazines, but there was lots of articles written negatively about celebrities. It's always happened. It's always been a thing. And yet these new age celebrities want the status of being famous, but they do not want the hate that the traditional celebrities get or got back in the day. So what is that about? You either want to be famous or you don't. What you want is for everybody to like you. It's a very snowflakey modern day thing. Not everybody's going to like you. You see comments online, and if you don't like them, get rid of them, clearly, right? but you keep yourself in this little bubble which is protecting your little egos. And traditional celebrities never had that.
And, you know, people are writing all this stuff. And, 1 minute. People are just putting stuff down. And then when they get challenged on it, they say things like, well, it's just my opinion. Or I was just speaking my mind. But sometimes, maybe you shouldn't. You know, we're all entitled to our own opinions on everything. We've all got our own opinions. Everybody is different. Everybody has...
Now, I must reiterate this, Zoe, but I did say this yesterday, but that teacher that you called out at your children's school, right? You called them out in front of thousands of people online. Now, maybe you just shouldn't. Maybe you just should have kept your opinion to yourself. Maybe you just shouldn't have said anything. Do you think that that is kind of a similar thing to what you're saying right now?
Different feelings, different thoughts, different outlooks on life, different morals, yeah? It doesn't mean that we have to go and say what we think to somebody else just because it's different to what you believe. But I think...
Well, just to add to that, Zoe, or to rebuff that, my morals are clearly higher than yours, obviously. But different opinions... Should I express my opinions towards you? Should I express my opinions that you exploit your kids for money? Should I say that to you, or should I just keep that to myself? You know, it's not a massive deal. It's not a massive problem. You know, kids shouldn't be used to pay your mortgage, but maybe I'll just keep that information to myself, and then you won't find out about your exploitation of your kids. Maybe you can just keep yourself in that little bubble that we talk about, and everybody else can live in a little bubble thinking that it's okay for you to exploit your kids. And yeah, more people might sub to you then, mightn't they? And they might watch your videos more, and you might get more money out of it, and that, you know, all that sort of thing. And we can protect little Zoe's feelings and things like that.
For me, I try and understand, and I try and then it gets into my head. And as much as I say, you know, we ignore things that get said, and we do really try, but I'm only human, and I'm quite sensitive. I'm quite a sensitive person. How I ended up doing social media, I don't know, because I do take things to heart, and I am quite a sensitive person, and I have got a lot more thick-skinned over the years, and most of the time I am a bit like, whatever. But occasionally, when you're feeling vulnerable anyway, occasionally it gets into your head. And I notice that our content starts to change a little bit, and these comments, they start wearing you down. The thing is as well about the people that make these comments, and there might be the ones that just put the odd one or whatever and you block them, and that's fine. But there's the ones that repeatedly come back. They repeatedly come back. They make new profiles. They repeatedly come back. Even though you block them, they make a new profile, they'll come back again. And we know that's not us, that's them. Yeah. But you can't get rid of them. They just keep coming back, keep saying their things, and you block them again, and they come back, and you block them and they come back. But it gets very tiresome. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't know what they're doing. A lot of people say, well, you put yourself on social media, you deserve it. Do you though? Do you deserve people coming on and bullying you every day? Do you? Would you have any other?
There is another option, Zoe, and this may be a bit radical, right? I know, because it'll destroy your algorithms and your community, and you won't be able to earn as much money possibly. But why don't you, right, there's this thing on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok where you can actually turn the comments off. I know it's radical, but surely if you're getting that much hate and it's really affecting you, right? I'm not saying that that people should hate on you, and I do understand that constant hate probably would wear you down and your mental health would be in tatters. I get it, right? But you could actually turn the comments off if it was causing that much distress. I know you'll say, yeah, but why should I have to turn the comments off? But yeah, why should you have to film your kids? Sometimes some things just don't make sense. Just turn your comments off. You'll never know what people think of you, right? And as for tattle, you don't ever go there, so you will not know what they think of you there either. All right? So, just food for thought.
A job or anything where that would be okay, because, we all, you stand up and say, no to bullying and all that. But in actual fact, this is what these people on the internet do. They bully people. Now, again, we all know, or the majority of people are good people. The majority of people that follow us are brilliant. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, you guys are the most amazing enablers that we could possibly have found. Vulnerable adults that don't really understand the internet and don't understand child exploitation because it never happened in our day. And this new age technology, it is fantastic. It can show us child number 1 and child number 2 in all sorts of poses. My friends down at the country club, they love that. They would. God help them. The
people that support us are amazing, and I know it's only a very small percentage, but when they keep coming back and they keep saying their things and they make up these pages, these hate pages, these sites, and they all feed each other, they all feed on each other, and we've had emails, messages, things like that saying, we're going to report you for this, we're going to report you for that, we're going to report you to social service. And you think, what for? What?
Again, not being a party pooper here, Zoe, but there's another solution to that. All right, hear me out. All right, okay. Don't tell them your address. Bloody hell. All right. Mistake number 1. Do not tell them your address. They won't be able to report you. Obviously. Then again, some people in your locality do know your address, and maybe it's actually them that's reported you. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe, right? But it's the fact that you're telling people where you live. It's the fact that you're putting it out there on the internet, that you're, wearing just your underwear. Oh my God, my eyes.
You're wasting their time, their money. I don't understand the goal. And you say you do it for our children. You don't. You do it for yourself. You do it for yourself because it makes you feel better. You do it for yourself. And there's people making money off the back of our videos out there as well, and we all know it. And they've got their own supporters who think that they're okay. They're making money out of my videos and my children.
Oh, isn't that cute? The fact that she put her kids there as a secondary to making money out of her videos, right? It was more important, the fact that I make money from your videos than your kids. I gotta tell you this though, Zoe, right? Your narrative there does not stack up in the slightest, because I never, ever, 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 ever include your children in my videos. Maybe once or twice, right? It's very few and far between, and if I ever do, they are blurred out every single time, right? That is an absolute guarantee. Do you blur your kids out every time? No, I do it. You don't even do it. Do you understand how fucked up that actually is? The fact that I protect your children more than you protect your children. Do you actually understand that? And the fact that I make money from them. I don't. But you do, right? Is that okay then? Is it okay that you make money from your kids? Or have you just put your foot in it and said that it's not okay to make money from your kids? Is that what the problem is? Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
So, the problem is These people will never admit that they have done anything wrong. They are the type of people that have all over their profiles, they have be kind, choose, we're kind to people. They've always got it on their profile, be kind. Somewhere in their profile they will have, and any other content creator or anybody on the internet will tell you that you can guarantee when there's a comment from somebody and they've used their actual profile, you'll go onto their profile and it will say be kind somewhere. You can guarantee it. But they are the first people, they're not kind.
Okay, I haven't found that to be true, actually. But on the other hand, you're not being kind either, right? You claim to be a lovely family, upbeat, happy family, right? That's what you said at the beginning of this little rant. You try to be upbeat and happy. And yet you're not. You're literally here moaning all the time about the fact that people are calling you out for using your kids in your vlogs. Make that make sense.
They're not kind people. They get caught up in this. They're bored. They're unhappy.
By the way, Zoe, if you wouldn't be so kind, if you would be so kind, in fact, to sign my petition. I've got a petition running at the moment. I'll put the link in the description below if anybody else can sign it too. But Zoe, could you sign it, please, to ban kids from using or appearing in social media because it's harmful for them? Can you sign that for me, please? Because I know you're all about the child safety and everything.
Hateful people who have things going on in their own lives and need to take that hate out on other people. So they choose somebody on the internet and they do that. At the end of the day, people say you're exploiting your children by doing what we're doing. We've got a family channel, so makes us an immediate target. Yeah. Now, half the videos have the children in. Not all of them have the children in.
Really? Okay, so you don't have the kids in for half of them. Okay, I'll give you one thing, right? Occasionally, you will do like a sit-down video, you and Ben together, and it'll just be you two, right? Occasionally, that'll happen. But for the vast majority of vlogs, it is you talking for a long period of time, Ben talking for a long period of time, with the kids in the middle. That is how your vlogs are generally set up, right? Even if it's just taking your kids to the sweetie shop for Sweetie Friday, that is using your kids for content, right?
It's about family life. Our channel is about family life, what we do as a family. When we started our channel, it was about, parenting tips, showing people our lives, all those sorts of things. People follow us because they like the fact we have a large family. They like the way we do things. I show different ways of doing things, help people out if we can, show some of the things that we do because it might help out somebody else. The way that we do, the same as I look on the internet for things that people do, and I think that's a great way of doing that. But they say things like that, but there are millions of people on the internet, on TikTok, on Facebook, that share pages with their children. Yeah. And I can guarantee that most of the people that say these things, they join these hate pages and everything else, and they gang up on creators. And I can guarantee that most of those people, when you go onto their profile and look at the people that they follow, there'll be people on there, mummy and me accounts, all of these accounts that have parents and their children in.
So your way of thinking is that because other people exploit their kids on the internet, it's okay for you to do so too? Or you think that other people should, or people should target other people on the internet, not just you? If they're going to target you, they should target everybody else. Well, that's nice, isn't it? I'll say you sent me.
But yet, choose to come to us and hate on us. So basically you're hating on us because there's already a thing there which highlights us. There's us, there's some other large families, other people. We're already highlighted by these people that hate on us. So it gives you an easy target. It's like mob mentality. So you see someone being picked on, so you join in as well. And that's basically what that is, because there are thousands and millions of people doing the same thing that we do, showing their family lives, doing TikToks with their kids, all those sorts of things. You don't have a problem with them.
I absolutely do. And actually, I find that quite offensive, actually, because I get that a lot. I get, why are you targeting these families? Because they do the same as other people, so why don't you target those, and why don't you have a problem with those? Well, I have a problem with all of them, right? I'm using you as an example of what should not be done, right? It's getting a message across, because I can't, if you notice, right, okay, so the only videos I do on you, Zoe and Ben, are generally problematic videos, right? I don't just do like a run through of your day, your vlog, right? Occasionally I'll talk about the food. People want to talk about the food, so I show them what food you've got. Mostly it's about your kids' education. It's about things that you are saying that are problematic, and it's always, well, not always, but quite often it's because you've mentioned me in one of your little rants, right? So it brings me back. I haven't done too many videos on you recently. I've done 2 in 2 days now, because you've done 2 rants. Rants are always a good thing, right? It's always a good topic to cover. I love them.
But you have a problem with us. So that doesn't make much sense. And I can guarantee that you already follow other people, and you watch TV. You watch soaps that have kids in, yeah? So your argument doesn't really wash.
I'm going to cry. I am actually going to cry. The amount of times that I have to argue against this point is ridiculous. It's unbelievable that basic information they can't process in their little brains, right? YouTube kids versus TV kids, right? I should do a video on that, in actual fact, right? YouTube kids versus TV kids. It's like comparing apples and oranges. It's completely different. 100% completely different. YouTube kids are not TV characters. I don't care what you say. They are not playing a part in a TV show. On TV, right, you get the characters, they get the actors, the kids, right? And they're playing a part. They're playing a character. They're not playing as themselves. You don't know what they had for dinner last night. You don't know when they started their period. You don't know what education they're doing on a daily basis, because nobody cares. Nobody actually cares about the actual character, the actual actor behind the character. They just care about the character. Nobody cares. Nobody knows where this character or the actor lives. Nobody goes home and stalks them and harasses them and bullies them, because they don't know anything about them. Therefore, it's 100% different to YouTube kids. Not to mention, on TV, there's a range of rules and regulations that you must follow if you are to include a child in your TV production, right? One being working hours. You can only work certain hours. Do you keep to those working hours, Zoe? No. Do you keep to anything that TV, like for example, babies on TV, they're only allowed to work for like an hour, I think, at a time, something like that, which is why quite often TV and film, they have like twin babies playing the one part, so that it can get through the production quicker. Then there's schooling. They can't work during school hours. And yet, not only are your kids working during school hours, you are filming them being... you are filming them working on their schoolwork every day. So much, so different, it's unbelievable.
To be honest, we're not doing anything wrong. We are not doing anything wrong. We are showing family life, nice walks, beach trips.
And just how many subs do you think you'd have if you took those kids out of the vlog, right? The kids bring people in. I've seen people in your comments talking to the children and saying nice things to the kids and saying how beautiful the kids are and just talking to them in general. Oh, Toby, you know, I love that you like cars. Toby, are you going to fix the car? Toby, are you going to do this? Why are grown women talking to an 11, 12-year-old boy that they don't know online? That you've got to say is weird and very, very sketchy.
All the nice things in a positive light. We try and share things like body confidence, perimenopause, all those sorts of things, anxiety, depression, trying to share all those things as well.
Oh, don't we know it? Don't we know it? I mean, how else would we know that one of your teen daughters had an eating disorder once? You know, it's not that it's any of our business or anything, but, you know, we do know this information. Do you think that she is happy now knowing that the whole internet knows about it?
But you choose to pick on that one thing. And I'll tell you why you pick on that one thing. Because somebody else has highlighted it and it gives you something to grip onto that makes you feel better about yourself because you're picking on somebody else. And quite frankly, it's been really hard to deal with these past couple of weeks. I don't know why it's hit me quite so hard, because this happens. Maybe I'll take a day off social media and then I'll be back again. But this time around, it's really hit me hard. At the end of the day, these people do not care. They don't care what happens to the people that they pick on. You know, you see these awful things happen to people and...
That's not true, Zoe. That's not true at all. I do actually care. I care what happens to you. I care what happens to Ben. But I actually care more about what happens to your kids, what you're doing to your kids. I don't care enough about you to ignore the situation.
You know, you go right back to the Caroline Flack thing and awful, you know, she ended up taking her own life because people were so vile to her, and then they all turn around in the end and they're like, oh, you know what, be kind, and you think, but you pushed her to that.
Caroline Flack's situation was very, very different, but it's a very sad situation, right? But didn't she like beat up her boyfriend or something? I'm not saying that she should be bullied to the point where she took her own life, but, you know, sometimes you got to look at what you're doing.
These people push people to these situations and they have no idea the damage they cause to people. And the scary thing is, as well, these people, you know, you envisage a troll being somebody sat behind their computer screen and maybe, I don't know, 5 times out of 10 they are. But other than that, they're not. They're just normal people with families.
Hang on, Zoe, hang on. That's not what you said about me before. You said I was sat in my dingy little flat in Wales. You know, I was very hurt by that comment. In fact, some might say it pushed me over the edge nearly. So, you know, be careful. Words hurt. Caroline Flack, be kind, etc., etc.
Grandmothers, people that you wouldn't expect. And I expect if you were to highlight their account online, in fact, I saw it happen the other day with somebody else highlighted this person's comment. She was a grandmother and she got really annoyed that this person had highlighted their account, which was public account, because she didn't really want people to see the type of person that she was.
So I have a policy on my channel, because quite often I include comments from various sources online in my comments, Ingham's comments, Sullivans comments, all sorts of places, right? And my policy is that I will blank out names at my discretion, right? I think personally, if you have written the comment publicly, then you are publicly owning that comment, right? Don't write something if you don't mean it. if you say something nasty, then prepare for it to be like highlighted. If you say something good, then, you know, good on you. But, you know, you can't tell people, like, for example, right, I remember a few people got a little bit upset on Tattle, and I think it's on my thread actually on Tattle. They were upset because I'd taken their username. It wasn't even their real name, but I hadn't blacked out their username on my video. And it's like, well, you've written the comment, own your comment, right? If it's public, then it's public. It doesn't belong to you anymore. So that's my stance on it. Just thought I'd add that.
Because at the end of the day, you know you're doing wrong. You know what you're doing. If you're so confident in what you're doing, then you shouldn't have to hide away, should you? In fact, for instance, I had somebody come on one of my reels the other day, I think it was, on Instagram, and put a comment down. Now, this comment came straight out of a troll's mouth from somewhere else. Somewhere they'd read something, they'd been on some page somewhere, and we all know what pages we're talking about. And they'd taken that. It's like Chinese whispers, isn't it? Such and such says that, and it gets made into that and made into that. And it's all utter crap, to be honest. It's all utter bullshit. But they come on and they then say, well, I'm going to say that. It's about, you could look up anybody on the internet and you could go down a rabbit hole and find things out, but you never actually know. You're not that person. You know, you're just, this person's made a TikTok and that person's made a reel, and it's all just people making stuff up to try and make money for themselves or to try and get themselves out there. This person wrote a comment on mine, and when I looked at her profile, she was a critical care nurse down in Cornwall, right? A critical care nurse down in Cornwall. Now, my brother was in intensive care years back now, but was cared for by critical care nurses. My mum's recently been in the same hospital, in Trelisk Hospital in Cornwall. Yeah. My best friend, has been in hospital being looked after. And you think, these people, you know, with those views, are looking after people in a hospital. And you think, okay, everybody's got a view. But if you're happy to voice that opinion on a public page, what kind of person does that make you then go in and being an impartial nurse to everybody? That's quite scary, to be honest.
I'm not quite sure where the correlation lies there, to be honest with you. So if you're a nurse and you're caring for people, you can't care about people online, you know. But there you go. That is Zoe's point of view, or her rant. That's exciting, isn't it? There's a lot to get through there. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about this, because there's so much to get your teeth into. And yeah, if you'd like more of these little rants and reactions to the rants and my opinions on rants and things like that, please let me know in the comments down below. don't do that. I meant subscribe to the channel. My god, brain freeze. Subscribe to the channel if you would like more. That's what I meant to say. Thank you all so much for your time today. Until next time, take care of yourselves and bye-bye.